Jamaica, baby, they made me to be the greatest. Serving the deed of my creators. Fresh off of my high haters. It's the king again. Magdalene, chauffeured, bragging and boasting.
Yo, what up, y'all? It's your boy Dollars. It's another late night reaction, and this time we got HSM, the largest crew takedown in rap history. Shout out to my subscriber Chino, King Chino. He recommended this. He be putting me on to a lot of things that I haven't heard about, and he told me to check this one out from Trap Geek. Supposedly this is an artist, I think he's called G Fredo or Fredo from Boston. Never reacted to none of his music, so after this reaction I'll probably react to one of his joints. And if there's any other songs from G Fredo or anybody in Boston y'all want me to check out, then y'all let me know in the comments. Alright, so let's hop in this joint. Let's check it out. It says the largest crew takedown in rap history. I don't know how that's possible because we had BMF, so this is gonna be an interesting little video right quick. So let's hop in this joint. I don't want to keep y'all waiting too long. Let's get it.
This operation was intended to dismantle the NOB gang and take the most violent members of that gang off the street.
I don't expect to see these individuals out on the street the next day wearing a bracelet.
31 members and associates of Dorchester-based NOB street gang are now facing federal charges. Some were arrested this morning during raids in various parts of the state, including this scene in Attleboro.
Alright, we gotta talk about the NOB story. Probably one of the wildest things we've seen in a while. Also one of the biggest RICO cases in rap history. I'm talking 31 people taken down for RICO conspiracy spanning from Boston to Cape Cod to Maine and all across Massachusetts. So the faces of NOB are two rappers by the name of G Fredo and 7981 Cal. They got tracks with Polo G, Mozzie, but they're pretty slept on in the mainstream. Everybody locally knows them, especially the feds who had been watching for
He said everybody locally knows them, especially the feds. Yeah, they was definitely under the feds' radar, huh? That was a funny one.
Rappers by the name of G Fredo and 7981 Cal. They got tracks with Polo G, Mozzie, but they're pretty slept on in the mainstream. Everybody locally knows them, especially the feds who had been watching for years. And they actually started to build a case against them in 2019 when they noticed these dudes were recreating murder scenes in their music videos that had gone unsolved in the city. They were filming music videos on their ops block.
Nah, they reckless for that. That's different right there. That's a no-no, man. Especially like if it's unsolved, bro. Why are you giving them? You painting a picture. You painting a picture for the feds that, you know, they didn't have the answers to. They didn't know what the fuck was going on, but you guys just laid it all out for them recreating the murders. That's one thing when you rap about it, that's still bad, but when you actually showing the cops how you did it, that's different.
Creating murder scenes in their music videos that had gone unsolved in the city. They were filming music videos on their ops block, burning their ops' hats, and super reckless shit. The feds were able to connect these music videos to a larger RICO conspiracy involving murders, beatings, bank fraud, pimping rings, and coke and fentanyl distribution across several state lines.
They was involved
in fact,
in everything.
A couple of them were wearing GPS bracelets while committing their alleged...
What's crazy is the NOB gang knew this was coming.
What? Them dudes had motherfucking ankle monitors on them, still doing crimes? They just didn't care. It was already over before it even started. It was over. You know what I'm saying? They probably just they committed. They was all the way committed. They was suicide bombers, man. They didn't care about their life at all. They didn't care what happened. That's crazy. That's a whole nother level of boldness. I ain't gonna hold you.
Several state lines.
In fact, a couple of them were wearing GPS bracelets while committing their alleged...
What's crazy is the NOB gang knew this was coming. The rapper 7981 Cal even released a song called RICO a couple days ago. They could feel the walls closing in. Now, we're gonna get into all this, but before we do, check out my song of the day. This is my guy Foggy Raw. Let's go.
Hey, I'm extreme.
To understand this story, we gotta go to one hood in particular in Boston called Dorchester.
Ask your healthcare provider today about Ozempic.
Nature teaches that odor is an illusion.
Man, I don't know
and this is the home of the NOB gang. Now, in order to understand this story, we gotta go to one hood in particular in Boston called Dorchester, and this is the home of the NOB gang. Now, NOB stands for the 3 streets that they rep: Norton, Olney, and Berry Street, and they've had this huge beef with 2 blocks that are literally 5 minutes away from them in both directions. Holmes Avenue to the south and Camrose Street to the east. Now what's crazy is most, if not all, the members of NOB are Cape Verdean. See, a lot of people don't know this, but Boston and the surrounding areas in Massachusetts have the highest Cape Verdean population outside of Cape Verde in the world, because a lot of folks from Cape Verde migrated to Massachusetts to take part in the whaling industry.
Why he says Massachusetts? It's Massachusetts, brother. Massachusetts, not Massachusetts. Cape Verdeans. What the? I never heard of a Cape Verdean in my life, bro. This is news to me. So these guys are like from a particular country, nationality.
Massachusetts have the highest Cape Verdean population outside of Cape Verde in the world, because a lot of folks from Cape Verde migrated to Massachusetts to take part in the whaling industry, where they would go off to the sea hunting for whales for their oil, meat, and whalebone, which that was big business till the 1920s. Then the industry died out. Boston became super gentrified, making rent literally the 3rd most expensive in America, pushing people into hoods.
Oh, so
and
San
you ended up
Francisco
with
is
these
more
triple-decker
expensive than
houses,
New York?
many of which needed Section 8 to survive. But this is where it gets crazy. Not only are NOB mostly Cape Verdean, but the blocks that they're beefing with are also Cape Verdean, so you end up with cases where you literally got some cousins who are fighting each other. Blood cousins from opposite blocks, beefing with each other. I mean, I heard stories of the rapper G Fredo was at a family event with his own ops, and there was so much tension there, they had to separate them on each side of the party away from each other until they—
Yo, that's crazy, man. That's sad. You know what I'm saying? When you beefing, your ops is your family. Your ops is your blood, literally. That's a no-no. You know, that could never be me. But I ain't never been in that situation. A lot of places got that situation. Chicago's similar. That shit happens, man. It's more than common. That'll be a good movie to make. You know what I'm saying? A future gangster movie, and the ops is your cousin or some shit like that. Even King Vado made a song called Cousins. I'm saying it's real talk. But man, G Fredo, this is interesting, bro. This is really interesting.
Fredo was at a family event with his own ops, and there was so much tension there, they had to separate them on each side of the party away from each other until it just got too hot and they had to cancel the event altogether. Wow. Now, in 2017, G Fredo and 7981 Cal started releasing tracks to SoundCloud, and they were documenting everything they were doing in the streets, and this shit was escalating quickly. One day in September of 2017, 7981 Cal and his homie Ricky were casing this Cape Verdean barbershop because they had seen one of their ops from Camrose Street go in there for a shape-up. Now, his name was Bunzo, and the NOB gang were notorious for using these scooters to do hits, because scooters are super mobile, you can get in and out of places that cars can't get into. So Bunzo went into the barbershop, and 7981 Cal pulled up on a scooter, following him.
I ain't gonna hold you, that's the worst way to go. Trying to get a lineup, man. They really lined you up. They lined you up while you was getting a lineup. That's the worst, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just trying to get a shape up, my brother. You know, like, we see each other on a different day, but there ain't no rules in this, man. You never know when something gonna go down, so you always gotta be on your P's and Q's, man. That's just what it is.
Into the barbers and allegedly unloaded 30 rounds into him, killing him on the spot. Cal got back on the scooter and dipped. The only problem for them was, at the time, his homie Ricky, who was casing the barbershop with him, was court ordered to wear a GPS monitor, which gave the Boston PD the GPS info of him driving past the barbershop multiple times before Bunzo was murdered. So the police got all that GPS data to—
Yo, bro, that's like one of the dumbest things, like, to do. Like, you know you're about to do something, like, you that gangster, huh? That was dumb.
Prove that he's doing reconnaissance for the murder. Now, the state didn't act on it right away. Maybe it wasn't enough evidence. Maybe they weren't piecing that together. I don't know. And the shit continued to get violent. Right after they killed this guy Bunzo, Cal and G Fredo made the song Dead Ops, and they were just taunting Cameron Street. And what's wild about the music is G Fredo and Cal are getting hundreds of thousands of listens on SoundCloud. Meanwhile, the rivals from Cameron Street got no music, none. It's like a one-sided battle in the booth, right?
They like, yo, ain't nobody rapping over here. Niggas is just gangsters, man. They doing all the rapping though, but it's kind of like a double-edged sword, man, because you made yourself hot. Your ops probably, I don't know if the ops got locked up or anything, but they took themselves out by rapping about that shit. So they like, go ahead, man. The art of war. 41 laws of power. Let you destroy yourself. I ain't got to do nothing. You're doing it for me.
They're beating up on them on the tracks, basically controlling the narrative. And while all this is going on, the NOB gang was spreading their enterprise. They opened up some trap houses where they were packing up heroin, fentanyl, coke, and they had a huge customer network that went as far as Cape Cod in one direction and Maine in the other. If one of the NOB members got booked, someone would take their place, and the money would get relayed back to 7981 Cal, who would pay for their lawyers, give them canteen money. I even heard stories of Cal and G Fredo getting dressed up as junkies to go down to the crackhead spot in the city, which is an intersection in Boston called the Methadone Mile. And they would do deals as crackheads. But the problem was the state was onto them, right? The Boston police had several undercover officers playing the role of addicts who went to go make purchases off NOB members who were dealing. They had transaction records through text and phone, and they started to build up some evidence of the drug trafficking that NOB was doing. But even the state didn't know the scope of things. They might have made a couple of petty drug arrests here and there, but NOB kept expanding their operations. One night in February of 2018, G Fredo and one of his shooters pulled up to Cameron Street in a Chrysler Pacifica. They were doing a drill. They saw one of their rivals, whose name was John Collin, chilling in front of his house. So they doubled back a second time and pulled the car in slowly. G Fredo and his boy went stealth mode through an alley that was adjacent to John's house, and once they saw him, they started shooting. Once they dropped him, they made it back to the Chrysler and dipped. And a woman rushed over to John to see if he was okay, and as he was bleeding out, he pointed to the Chrysler and said, "That was G Fredo," and he bled out and died. Less than 6 weeks after that murder, G Fredo put out the song They Don't Know, where he basically recreates the murder scene of John Collin in his music video. Now, something about Fredo was he was known as the small dude with the itchy trigger finger. He would often head over to Cameron Street just looking for trouble. I heard stories of grown-ass men like OGs from the block that would see him coming and start running, which, I mean, I would too. Bullets don't discriminate with your age. You could be 19 and small with a gun, I'm running. And the rumors on the internet is that Fredo has at least 5 bodies, including his childhood friend who went by the name of Smoke, who he actually
Yo, this dude right here, man, he was a problem. This dude was a problem. Man, had 5 of them. He had 5 of them things on his stats, man. That's crazy. It all catches up to you, though, man. You know what I'm saying? You don't end up on top forever, because eventually you get caught slipping. Either the karma comes back at you, or you get locked up, or your glory days don't last forever if you're living like that and you're doing shit, that you're not supposed to be doing.
On the block that would see him coming and start running, which, I mean, I would too. Bullets don't discriminate with your age. You could be 19 and small with a gun, I'm running. And the rumors on the internet is that Fredo has at least 5 bodies.
Rumors on the internet,
his childhood friend who went by the name of Smoke, who he actually shouts out on the song called What Happened.
A lot of things you hear on the internet.
Trying to do a kid like who? Trying to do him like Smoke. This was allegedly one of his close friends who, I guess he had to do him like that. Now, as G Fredo is racking up kills, his music is also doing really well, especially in the city. And he and 7981 Cal started to call their rap collective HSM, which stood for Headshot Mafia. Basically, you couldn't join unless you got a body. Now, as the music was picking up speed, the Boston police were starting to tap in a little more. They actually set up surveillance at NOB territories and Cameron Street territories just to try and reduce the killings. In March of 2018, less than 2 months after the murder of John Collin, investigators were conducting surveillance near G Fredo's place. They saw Fredo get picked up in a rented SUV, driving towards a residential neighborhood associated with Cameron Street. And the only reason for NOB members to be driving to that area was clearly they were looking to do drills, right? But they noticed they were being tailed by police. So they started to drive and swerve in a way to get them off their trail. This led to a high-speed chase where Fredo was in the backseat and tossed the guns out the window of the SUV somewhere on the highway, dipping in and out of traffic until eventually the cops pulled them over and arrested everybody. Now, a couple people got booked, but nothing too serious. And it wasn't until the summer of 2019 where the Boston police said, listen, this is getting out of control. We need bigger guns. So they called in the feds to assist in the investigation. Now in July of 2019, a kid was headshot by an NOB member. And 2 days after he died, Fredo released the video for the song Die Holmes.
Watch me do my thing.
Vitafusion gummy vitamins, something worth chewing on.
Look, pop out of his bushes like what?
2019, a kid was headshot by an NOB member. And 2 days after he died, Fredo released the video for the song Die Holmes.
Look, pop out of his bushes like what? That is glizzy, I'm slamming, gon' leave that stuck, we sticked up.
Now he was violating with this one. He was setting their ops' clothes on fire, simulating executions of Holmes gang members, and he filmed it right on their block, right? It was super disrespectful. All while this—
What? Nah, fams. He filmed the video on a block, broad daylight.
This is going on, the feds were monitoring this shit like it was The Wire. They intercepted calls between NOB members that was coded language. They were talking about eating fish, which was coded language for take out anyone you thought was Cameron Street. I'll read a bit of the transcript, right? Check this out. Even if I'm out fishing and I got my hook in the water, I'm not gonna catch that fish because I don't know what these fishes look like, bro. Now the dude on the other line goes, any fish is food. We live in the ocean. Even if you think it's friendly, you eat that fish. Just some demonic shit, right? While all this is going on, G Fredo and Cal are blowing up on SoundCloud, right? They did a music video with Polo G that summer. They did one with Mozzie in October of 2019. Now, the kid who was headshot in July of 2019, he actually had a twin brother who tried to leave Cameron Street and he tried to escape detention with NOB. They caught up to him all the way out in the suburbs of Boston, like 45 minutes away. And they did that in February of 2020. So you don't escape this. This was kind of the last straw, right?
Wow, bro. He lost his brother, then he lost his life. Was he really doing, like, was he affiliated with any, like, that gang on Cameron Street? Or, like, how does that, like, if he, I don't know. I just don't know. This shit is just different. These guys were no joke.
Tension with NOB. They caught up to him all the way out in the suburbs of Boston, like 45 minutes away. And they did that in February of 2020. So you don't escape this. This was kind of the last straw, right? The feds had been building and building and building this case since summer of 2019. And the reason the feds were brought in was to establish what's called RICO charges. Now, you probably heard of that maybe from the Treyway case with 6ix9ine where they got RICO charges. Basically, before the RICO Act was signed into law, I think by President Reagan, it was virtually impossible to prosecute the high-level mafia dons or the leaders of the gangs, right? Because they rarely ever had direct paper trail or direct evidence of them committing the crimes. It was always enforcers. So
you gotta realize the mafia was so sophisticated because they had people that would be the head dude, like the bosses, but they weren't really the bosses. They were the front man. The boss was somebody that you didn't expect. It was probably the underboss, but he made somebody else the boss, but he was really the underboss. You know what I'm saying? That's how it works. That's like also, if you ever seen like Batman Black Mask, no, the Red Hood, that's kind of like the idea. The Red Hood was basically, you know, the criminals would wear a red hood every time they did a crime, and they would be somebody different in the mask. So the cops wouldn't know who really was the leader. It was just one day somebody wore the hood, the next day, so they would know it wasn't a leader. But yeah, that's crazy, man.
The RICO Act let the government charge everybody as a criminal organization responsible for the individual actions people inside that gang took. So if somebody commits a murder for the express purpose of moving up in the gang and elevating the criminal enterprise, everybody can be responsible for it under RICO charges. So a couple weeks ago, the feds came in, they did a huge raid, in a bunch of different boroughs of Massachusetts. They swooped in and they took down 31 members of the NOB gang, including G Fredo and 7981 Cal. And as I said, literally a couple days ago, 7981 Cal released a music video for his song RICO, right? Because they knew this was coming. And looking at the indictments, they have people on bank fraud, they got people on pimping rings,
Everything
they got,
under
of
the bus.
course, the drug trafficking stuff from the trap houses where they were, you know, distributing fentanyl. Of course, they got the murder charges, attempt murder charges. Reading the indictments is pretty solid. We're gonna have to wait and see what happens, but when the feds come, they don't play. I think their conviction rate is 95%. So if you're a fan of 7981 Cal and G Fredo, I mean, I gotta admit, their music is fire, but they're not coming home.
Yo, this joint right here was very, very interesting. I didn't know they was getting down like that over there in Beantown. I'm interested to like listen to their music now, see what they was talking about, and see some of these videos. So, if there's any videos specifically y'all would like me to react to from G Fredo or Cal, just let me know in the comments. If you're new to the channel, if you like my reaction, don't, you know, drop a like, subscribe, comment, and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. It's your boy Dollars. I holla, you already know. I'm out.